Okay, we're a very small group here, so actually that might be a good thing because hopefully we'll get down to real conversation. The first round last week, I felt here I was still talking way too much. Sivam, I really appreciate the overview you gave us last time. That really, I think, gave everyone a good understanding. Is there anyone who has not seen? I posted a lot of the materials from last year's competition that Sivam and his group did. I posted that in a shared folder inside of our committee shared folder. And it includes the flyers from last year, the video that they made, which was a great promotional video, the PowerPoint that includes the timetable that Sivam showed us last time, and some other materials regarding the agenda, the details on the agenda. And I think one of the things, I can't recall if I posted, we actually have some videos of the competition and videos of the VIP speakers from the round last year. And all of that is really good for us in trying to understand what it is that that we would be having to do, and also giving us a good sense of what has to be done here in the coming weeks if we want to pull this off starting in April. So the first thing I'd like to ask is comments about the materials that were posted after last week's meeting. Sean, Leah?
Yeah, I think it's really good for us to be able to have some kind of example that we can use. Obviously, I think it would be even better if we were able to turn the initiative into our own, you know, just not just doing the exact same thing, but I think it's a very good way of starting to have an idea and try to use the not mistakes but things that might have taken time in other previous projects and just try to use that. And the posters that you put on the folders, they're very helpful. Also just to visually have an idea of what we can do and how we can try to go to the masses and the younger people. So I think everyone should just, if you haven't, go to the folder and check them out. Even just the posters and the flyers, they're very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, for me, the bottom line is I admit that I was very busy this week, but the bottom line for me is let's begin to get these documents done. As long as we get those done, then we have our audience of our, not only our committee, but a lot of the club to be able to get an idea of what we're working on. And that's something that's really important. So let's make some progress on those. Let's kind of see if we can map out a time in which we can get it done. We all have access to it. And the closer we get that done, the closer we can move on. So that's just a baseline foundation that we need and something that we don't have yet. So that's going to be really important. So let's, once we're done with this meeting or even during this meeting, let's figure out when we're going to get that done. Let's put a period of how many days, X days, and figure it out.
Yes, I'm just putting over here in the chat. I put together a couple of notes because one of the big challenges that that we've got coming up is we said we would like to kick this off in April, and to kick it off in April, we would have to get the first communications going out in about 4 weeks. And one of my concerns was we went through a week now. Everybody agreed in the last meeting, let's go and work on fleshing out the document about the summary of the competition. Let's do that in 4 days. That was what everybody agreed. And I published the information about the starter documents for both the concept paper and for the starter of a to-do list of all the things that would need to be done. And I don't see any contributions, additions, and so forth to those papers. So how do we do that? How do we go? Because I have here, if we take a look at the various documents that are under that miscellaneous folder, they literally, there are documents that describe how many competitions, at least that was the proposal, how many competitions, where are they, why we think they would succeed, the various levels and so forth. So it's concerning when, as I say, I have that, I wrote those documents, so I have that sense. But if the committee doesn't come together, where everybody has really worked enough on that list that they have it in their heads, and we are able to put this together, and eventually we get to a level of detail that's similar that if you were going to build a house, where you can put in a timetables. When are you going to go and approve the architecture's drawings? When are you going to have the meeting to just outline, here's the sketches of what I'm thinking I want in the house? When's the timetable for when the foundation is supposed to be dug? When is the foundation going to be built? When are the framers coming to frame it out? When are the plumbers coming to put the plumbing in? When is water going to get hooked up to the street? When's electricity? When are the inspectors coming? If you've ever seen a plan for the construction of a house, it's very detailed, and certain people have to come on certain dates, because if you waste days, then all the people that are dependent on that work that person was supposed to do, they are not able to be there and do that. So for us to be able to get to that detailed execution plan for executing all the preparatory materials, we need lead time to recruit the judges. We need lead time to get VIPs that are going to speak at these events. So there's a number of details like that. To get to that, it's got to take the committee, because otherwise it ends up me sitting here and writing something out, and then when all the delivery dates come, who's going to be delivering? Who's going to have even put their name down and said, okay, I'm responsible for step X and I'm responsible for step Y, so that we know we're getting there. So please, I would first, I'd like to welcome Professor Raj, who's joining the committee. He's a Rotarian. He's a professor at the Fashion Institute in New York City. And he also runs a project in India in a number of schools. I don't know how many schools right now, Raj, that you have, but it's, if I recall correctly, you've got a fair number of schools involved. So we were just talking here about the need to get the committee members engaged in actually doing things, starting with defining what is it that all has to be done by when, and then finding and how are we going to do each of the steps, and who's going to be in charge or taking responsibility for each of those steps. So comments, please.
Yeah, Bill. So, I mean, as we discussed in our last meeting as well, that the two primary things that we need to really focus on is first to get the document out, and second is to get the database in place. Even I've not got the time to look over every document, but I think let's keep this week for all of us to review all the documents, highlight the important parts that we need to really put in that final document, and next weekend sit together on a call and put it together in one place, and then maybe next 2 days refine it, make it look beautiful and all that stuff. So I think we should be targeting next Sunday to complete the document, and let's take these 5 days of the coming week to review everything for us to go through all the documents. In the meantime, I mean, from my side, I can say, like, I know database is something that is really important. That is where the timeline will start once we have everything in place. So I reached out to the South Asia office to get the Rotaract and Rotary Districts representatives email IDs and phone numbers. I've got it for India. I've got it for some of the neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Maldives, and Sri Lanka. But I've reached out to the South Asia office to get some more for me. So I think, I mean, I mean, this is something that I feel that for next 5 days, we all should be targeting to retrieve the database from our respective Rotary offices for our countries. And then let's sit on the weekend and then put everything that we highlight from those documents and put it in one document,
Okay,
so that, yeah, in next 10 days we are in a good position.
great. Are you talking about communicating with via the MDIOs or through the zone, the Rotary zone?
So initially I went through the MDIO, but some of the information was missing there. So I reached out to the Rotary South Asia office. Initially I was contacting the Rotaract MDIO, but later I went to the Rotary South Asia office, and they provided me the district governors and Rotaract representatives contact details for the remaining ones. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it needs to be a combination of the Rotaract MDIO and this respective South Asia or respective country offices of Rotary.
Right. No, that is really great. If what would help, I think, a really lot. First of all, for those that don't know, MDIOs are regional multi-district information organizations. They exist for Rotaract. I don't think they exist for Rotary and for for interactors. And they're not everywhere, but there's a lot of them. There's the Mediterranean MDIO, there's the European MDIO, there's a Rocky Mountain MDIO, there's an Appalachian MDIO, there's several MDIOs in South America. So these are ways to be able to get together there. For Africa, there is a Rotary Africa that publishes a magazine. I think it's, at least for the English language, the countries other than the francophone countries in Africa. I think it comes out of either Kenya and someplace else. So I think, Shivam, what would maybe help on this is if you could put together and post a brief summary of what agencies you went to, and perhaps if you have communications that you sent to those organizations, the Rotary South Asia, that you could just provide us with copies for. That would maybe make it a little easier for some of the others to begin the reach out in their respective parts of the world. So that way there we have, just on this call alone, we've got Africa, we've got Europe, we've got South Asia represented on the call, and North America, obviously. So that would be able to help get started there. In parallel, and when we're talking databases here, I think, Shivam, what you're referring to primarily is all of the parties that we want to reach out to and inform that, hey, this competition is being offered, and to encourage them to help reach out as far as offering it to schools to participate. But in this case, we also need that extra communication that is asking for a volunteer club in every Rotary district that would host the local competition level there. So
So
Shivam,
yeah,
if
Bill.
that,
So basically,
yeah.
um, I mean, you're correct. I mean, the thing
ये
is,
बोले जय तूने मजे नहीं
so we got if I have 512 Rotary districts all across the globe, my aim would be getting the 512 district governors details, and at the same time 512 district Rotaract representative details, because I mean, generally, the district, the Rotaract or Rotary districts won't need a volunteer club because they have a district team at the same time in place, which is sort of comprises of 50 to 60 people, so they can easily get 5 or 6 people out of that team and work on basically organizing the local competition. That is what happened in India last year. So we just reached out to the district governor. We had a document in place. We reached out to the district governor and DRR on the same mail chain, and we told them about the competition, and we asked them to basically hold the local competitions or come up with one name which is going to represent their district. That's exactly same what we want here as well. And about getting the details out, so apparently I knew a lot of people in the South Asia Rotaract MDIO, so everything happened over call. I just gave them a call and they provided me the Excel sheet. And for all others where I couldn't find the details and I had to reach out to the Rotary Asia office, I reached out to my parent club. So Naman and other my parent club's president Pradeep sir, they reached out to the Rotary South Asia office, and they again on call asked them to mail it over, and they did that. So yeah, I mean, because we had the contact, so it was easier for us. But those who doesn't have contact in MDIOs or South Asia offices, maybe on Google just search for different MDIO offices, and you'll basically get the details on my Rotary, that won't rotary.org. Even if there is any MDIO, or for that matter any South Asia or any Rotary office in any country, you'll get all the details on rotary.org. I think so that could be the way. um, so yeah.
Shivam, as a suggestion here, I suggest that we create, there's going to be different things. There's going to be a group that's going to have to work on the promotional materials, the flyers, the template, the mailing templates. And I think here it would be great if we have a video similar to the one that you guys put together for the competition last year. We have to have a group that's going to work on getting that stuff done. But right now you're talking about the contact database, which is a prerequisite. We can have all the information we want, but if we cannot reach out and connect and communicate that to all the parties we want to talk to, it's not helping us. So I'm suggesting here that we have a subcommittee that is specifically about building the database. Do you think what do you guys think? Do you think that would be a good idea to have a subcommittee that works on filling in all the gaps on that?
Yeah, exactly. As we move forward, we'll need that subcommittee. But for the time being, as I can see, we are just 8 people on this call representing different countries. So at first point, we would be the ones who will be actually getting the database out. So yeah, I mean, maybe we all need to take the responsibilities of our own countries, or of our continents or our regions, and then proceed with the subcommittee where, I mean, there could be a position that I went out to get the detail, but I couldn't. And then I need some help. And then the subcommittee would come in place and then help me out with everything. Because, I mean, as I said, getting the India or the South Asia database was as easy task for me because I had the contacts, but others won't have it. So they
Yep.
need to do an additional step of searching it out on Google or somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, but the first step we need to do, if we are failing at it or if we are not able to get it out, then maybe we need that subcommittee for sure.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, the part of the reason why here is I think here if we have the committee that coordinates with the rest of our broader committee here to get that done, because we've got 20 some odd folks in the overall committee, only a small subset and a couple of people here, those coming in, some from the Middle East, some from Africa, have already had technical problems that have caused them to not be able to stick with us from a couple of countries. So, but they're there, they'll watch the video, they'll get involved. But I think when it comes time to actually start, we need to have a group that says, okay, we're taking responsibility for building that database. Doesn't mean we build every aspect of it ourselves, but we're the ones that are going to drive it, that are going to reach out to our other committee members and remind them if they haven't delivered or made the contacts in their part of the world to build that database. Also, I think having that subcommittee like that gives the ability for that group to just occasionally meet just among themselves and say, how are we doing? Where's the shoe pinching? Where are we having trouble fleshing out the database, so that those with more experience like yourself, Shivam, can share that with those people that are specifically driving that process. That's what I meant by that. It's anyway, that's what I'm thinking here, so that we know there's some group that is working with a deadline, let's call it 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, to be able to say, let's put together, let's have our mailing list for our 535 Rotary districts, and let's work on getting here all of our DRRs identified. Let's work on getting even all the MDIOs identified, because they can help, or the regional one. You have here, India is perhaps the most organized region as far as Rotary goes in the world. You've got Rotary India, which does not exist in most parts of the world. The MDIOs do, but as we said, that's just Rotaract. So when we look here and say, how do we get to Rotary? There are some zones where they communicate at the zone levels, but there's a lot of areas that don't. Plus, we have to take a look and see having some separate people that are focused on getting to the various people within Rotary International who can really help. So, for example, the Interact and Rotaract group within Rotary International could really help, so that in addition to what we have coming from the district levels down to their clubs and so forth, Rotary International could publish information or push information out to all the registered Rotaract and Interact clubs. We only have space for 4,100 teams or schools for this first round that we want to do, and we've got 30,000 Rotaract Interact clubs combined, so that if they were able to push that information out about the opportunity, that's now going to be people that are ready when they hear information coming from the district, that they are going to probably be receptive, at least to the point of, we're only trying to get about 1/7 of the Interact and Rotaract clubs participating, in addition to reaching out to all other kinds of schools as well. So
I agree with you, Bill. I mean, That's basically the first thing that came to my mind as well when I heard about the global debate, that someone from Rotary International or my Rotary can basically solve our problem of the
Yep.
database in a minute,
Yep.
because every district governor has to register herself or himself on Rotary International, otherwise they won't be the district governor. So they have all the details, so maybe let's try searching out someone who can help us with it.
Well, I had a talk with John Hugo, the executive secretary, really the guy who runs
Yeah.
Rotary International, a couple of years ago, and I outlined to him a project along these lines. He promised me at the time that he would be supportive in getting information out for us. So I will reach out to his office and just see here to what degree we can get them um, to help with the communication going out. I don't know what the cutoff time is for the Rotary magazine, the Rotarian, but I do also know somebody there that had some contacts that we might be able to get an article out there. We have to do it relatively quick, and here it gets back to the idea of a committee of this should not be a Bill Graham thing. This needs to be, we need to get a lot of people involved. So we need to get some of you working on a brief article about the competition. And perhaps what we can do, Shivam, is we can describe what you did last year as the example of what we're doing. And now we're just, that's sort of the proof of concept. And now we're blowing this up to reach out to the world. So that's something here that I'll publish that to all the members of the committee and asking for some volunteers to help on putting together a brief article on that. And I'll try to connect them up with the contacts that I've had that have offered to help getting information published in the Rotarian magazine. But that's only helps if we can get that done within the next issue, or maximum two, because otherwise it's going to be too late to really help us much in terms of this coming round.
Yeah, I mean, agree, Bill. So, yep. Even I have the contact of the Rotary International director from India. So maybe I can ask him if he can help me with some details.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, a Rotarian from my parent club knows Jennifer Jones, who's the upcoming RI president in
Right.
2022, 2023.
Right.
So yeah, let's see. I mean, I think we will be able to get the database if everything works out fine. And for the article, I think we must be having something, because we also sent our debate to some of the magazines for the publish. So we might be having that written
Right.
documentation.
Yeah.
Apart from that, we have a lot of videos or after movies that we have created. One of the very first video, which is also on YouTube, that we created as a promotional stuff, describing what Rotary International is all about, and then what the debate is all about, that we are organizing. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of reference videos. If that is needed, I'll ask my team to get all the links at one place, and maybe I'll share it on the Telegram group so
Mhm.
that everyone can see those videos and get a better idea of it.
Great. That's really good. And one of the things here, and I think here the director in Rotary, is that one of the ones who spoke at your event here last October? You had some.
So he was the I think he was the I mean, treasurer to Rotary International a few years back.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we call him the trustee of Rotary India
Got you.
currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have here the person who was supposed to be the president of Rotary International starting this coming July is
Yes. Shaker.
Right. So I don't know to what degree, because I think he backed off for health reasons, if I'm not mistaken.
That was someone else who backed out, and on his place we have Shekhar Mehta now
Gotcha.
taking
Okay.
his place.
Okay.
So yes, again, Shekhar Mehta is from India, and we just need to find out the details. Maybe he can also help out with it. So I'll just have a word with my parent club, maybe Naman and other Rotarians from my parent club, so that we can get that reach out and get the details if possible.
Okay. One of the other thoughts here is that we would, what would really help us is those few international speakers. And one of the things that I'm thinking here is we can invite the current Rotary International president. We can, Holger Knop, we can invite John Hugo, and we might be able to invite a couple of VIPs from the United Nations. To all speak a few words, so to be those dignitaries, if you would, for the competition. And if we can announce here that that they are part of this, that's going to actually increase the image of the competition in general. And of course, Rotary is always looking for what can we do to promote the image of Rotary? They normally go out and say, okay, every club, you go promote the image locally. What we are doing here is we're doing something that gives them an announcement that literally every single Rotary club in the world can project out to their communities and help the overall image of Rotary worldwide. So I think, just going and being able to ask. Jennifer Jones is a great example. She comes, she has a video PR company. So she
She was to
understands.
come on a debate final day, but she had some other urgent
Gotcha.
work, so she couldn't join us today that
Right.
day. But otherwise, she was there for. She
Oh,
was.
that's so fantastic, because one of the things here is to avoid those problems of schedule conflicts and so forth. Those can be pre-recorded, and that could allow us, when we're going out and saying, okay, we want to do 512 local competitions, to be able to provide them some pre-recorded speeches of VIPs that can be inserted into their event when they go and hold the event. So they can recruit one or two local people, and then we've got some international people. The fact of having international speakers at those events are going to help them recruit local VIPs who want to be included with the names. Okay, here's a few international VIPs, and here's a few local VIPs. People like to have their names on the same speaker list with people of international influence. So that's something I think we should also target early on, is to find those people of influence who would be willing to make a pre-recorded statement, and perhaps even one that when we want to put the promotional video together, that would say 20, 30 seconds or so as part of that, talking about why this is a good thing, why all Rotary districts should participate, and so forth.
Yes, yes, Bill. Sounds like a plan.
Okay,
And
great.
let's get on searching for it.
Okay, now we've been here. Shivam is really invaluable to what we're doing here, because that's the experience factor coming in and playing a major role. But I think here, this is supposed to be a committee. This is supposed to be a team. So I'd like to hear from some of the others of you, Jerica, Sean, Leah, Andrew, and Siam. Okay, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling on this right now? How do you think we're going to do a better job of getting of all the committee participants participating?
I feel like this is a good strategic step forward. I think one of the biggest things that's been going on across all committees is participation. And I think us going very strong in this group, and then, as you said, curating those subcommittees is something that's going to help us a great deal with individual responsiveness, and also being able, much like Shivam, to activate our experience and while we're implementing these plans, and actually see them through. So I think this is a really good strategic step forward.
Okay, Sean, you had your hand up there for a couple of seconds a minute ago. I don't always see the hands going up. I have to apologize for that. I got to do a better job at doing that. Eventually here, we'll organize these committees so that we'll separate the job of moderator and the job of the person that's sort of keeping track at the communications. But Sean, please.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Jericho was saying. And in addition, I mean, even in the chat, that you wrote the short fuse to-dos.
Mhm.
You know, even mailing lists and Rotary districts and timetable, 4 weeks, none of that. If we probably didn't come up and say we're going to have this meeting, I personally don't think that it would have became a priority out of nowhere to kind of go and do the documents, because that's a prerequisite to do anything. So I think, you know, the same thing I was saying before, that these consolidation of all of the information that we have is probably one of our biggest priorities right now, so we can move on. And I think if that's something that we can get out of this meeting, I think that's something we should do.
Okay. When we talk about here for example, the summary concept document, what we've been referring to as the Bible here, of that describes all the key aspects of the project. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm wondering to what degree. At first I was wondering, is there a problem here? People can't get to the document, they can't edit the document. We've seen now in one of the other committees there that that people can get to and edit the documents. But the other thing here is we have more complex. Some of the other projects, I think, are significantly more complicated than this one is. I think here, literally in 2 to 3 pages, one could probably outline as far as what is this, how does the competition work, all the key elements that would be needed for people to really understand in detail how it would work. Is we're talking a couple of pages. We're not talking that 15 to 20 page book, if you would. Now, when we get down to working out a lot of the details for the timetable, the exact details of the timetable and so forth, it will grow. But that what is needed right now to just make sure everybody is on that same page, I believe is about a 2 to 3 page summary. Shivam, what are your thoughts? Do you feel here that we should be able to have a good summary of what's going on in that short a document?
Yeah, Bill, I mean, I think we will be able to get that, because I mean, the document that we created as a part of our debate in the start, basically, the things that go in that document is who's organizing it, why are they organizing it, what's the format of the debate, what will be the basic rules and regulations of those debate, and then basically what is our reach, why we are going to do it. So I think from the look that I have on those documents, I think we can easily come up with that final briefing document from whatever you have put on the drive. So yeah, I think, and and it doesn't have to be really big, because if it exceeds 3 to 4 pages, everyone will lose interest for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we will be easily, I mean, it's just that we all need to carefully review it, in the next 4 to 5 days and highlight of what we think is more important or more relevant to go in the final document, and then just sit and finalize it.
Yep. Yep.
The look and feel can be done later as well, but just
Absolutely.
let's just finalize on the content.
Yeah. This is the reason why this is so important, is if we don't have something down in writing that you all really have read through and agree on, a number of you are going to be going forward based on your assumptions of what is meant and what's going to be happening. And that's when you start getting problems, because person A assumed person B has the same understanding and is going to get this done by that time. And with such a short window of preparation that we have, we really can't afford a lot of mistakes to happen because of misunderstandings. Sivam, you've been very quiet here. What are your thoughts? Okay, let me go to Leah, because she's had her hand up. Though, as I say, I keep missing when those little blue symbols there on the hands up. So, Leah, please.
Yeah, with regards to what you were saying, actually, for those who haven't, about the questionnaire, I think it's very helpful because it's not a very complicated questionnaire. It's just to make sure that we know the basics of the initiative. So I think that would be a good idea for those who haven't completed the questionnaire. And also, I would say, because we're all, if we're here, it's because we agree that this is going to work and that we can get those 512 clubs to organize the competition. But I think that something that is happening with the documents is that those who are actually writing in those documents, regardless of the committee, they're waiting for everyone to participate. And so it's kind of stuck, I think. So if we get different groups to work, for example, these people are very interested in, I don't know, working to reach the masses or the social media. And then this group wants to do the contact list and reach out to those people of influence. If we do that and we have also a group just to work on those documents, like you were saying, then those groups can all reach to the document group and they can all work together. And I think that would be helpful. Another thing that I would actually suggest for us to do now in this meeting was to get the timeline that you were saying, that you put in the documents, because I feel that if we leave it to after these meetings, we're going to lose the momentum. So if we actually do it now, even if just to, I don't know, to agree on the timeline for the document to be done, the groups to be assigned or divided, I think that if we do it now, it would be more efficient.
I agree with doing it now. If everybody has kind of a moment to work through that, I think it would really help us in our effort to work asynchronously.
Now, we're talking about the timeline here of these next couple of weeks of what you guys will need to get done. We're not necessarily talking about the timeline in April yet, correct? We're talking about these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, just the next couple of weeks, so that we don't, because I feel that obviously we're all in different timetables. For you, it's not yet 8 a.m. And there are very different time zones. So I think that when we leave these meetings, we all go our different ways and we lose that momentum. So we leave the meetings and we think, okay, I'm going to do this. We're going to start doing that tomorrow. Okay. I think that's what happens. We're going to do this tomorrow. And if we do it now, we use the time of the meeting. We're all here. So.
Okay. Last week here, we all agreed over the following 4 days to complete that concept paper, right? And yet basically what I didn't see anything changed as of last night over what I posted as sort of a starter document. So we have that. We right now going through the list of items is Sivam talked about here, the prerequisite of getting our contact databases all established, because otherwise We don't have that ability to communicate. So that needs to be something to be done here. I would say we need to go and this is why I was suggesting a subcommittee for that, is to be able to go and say how much of that is done already by next week, right? So that we can say, okay, what is done. And Shivam, to be honest with you, I think here you're being able to, in that subcommittee here, communicate to people, because they're going to run into questions. You've done this. Most of the others here on this call have not. And plus we got all the others in the committee who could not make today's call or had to drop out and are going to be waiting for the recordings and so forth. So right now, it seems to me that getting that concept paper done, getting that to-do list, and including the short fuse version of that is really crucial to have that being done, and the concept paper. So the concept paper, the to-do list, and the database of contacts. If we can go here, I don't know if anybody wants to add something else to be able to try to say a week from now, where are we in terms of those specific goals? Do we want to add anything to that?
Yep. Bill, I mean, I think since I completely agree with Leah that we need to get the timeline in place for these initial tasks. So let's put it like this. I mean, we have Sunday tomorrow. Let's keep Sunday free for all of us, but maybe from 1st of February till 5th of February, all of us get on to reviewing all the documents that you have shared in the drive. Let's meet on 6th of February to discuss it on maybe on an hourly call or a 2-hour call, get everything in one Word document, and then keep 7th, 8th, 9th, the next 3 or 2 days to improve the look and feel of it.
Mhm.
And by 10th of February, you'll be done with your PDF document, which will be your Bible for this initiative.
Yeah.
Okay. At the same time, it's not that, I mean, for next 5 days from 1st to 5th, we are just going to review the document. We are also going to do the second important task at the same time, which is to collect the database. I mean, since I mean, we are a part of that group on Telegram. I've got the South Asia Excel sheet. I'll share it on that group. As soon as anybody gets any contact detail about any MDIO, any Rotary office, or I mean, maybe since I have got the details, maybe I can search out more on Google for you guys. Maybe for your Rotary offices or for your MDI offices, I can search out for it. So
Mhm.
whatever I get, I'll share it on the group itself. And again, at the same time, we'll also try to map our resources in Rotary International so that it's a one-time task for us to get the database. But again, to get the final database in our hands, to get started, since 10th of February is when we get the document finalized, let's keep 15th of February the day when the database has to be there, so that from the very next day, which is 16th or 17th, a committee or a member, 3 or 4 members, just get onto mails and start rolling it out
Yep.
to the database.
Right. Okay, I don't know how the rest of you feel. I feel here that given here Shivam's experience here and just listening here to how he's sort of described these things that be needed, I think we should really see Shivam as the guide to this whole initiative, because he can go out there and say from experience, this is what worked. This is what we need to do. And then it's up to you guys here to follow Shivam's lead here on getting all these pieces done. And as he said here, he can post examples and guidance and everything in the Telegram group for that. How do all of you feel about that?
I think that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Wonderful.
definitely great.
Yeah, I think here, because Shivam, one of the things here, I hope you're realizing that our folks have a lot of confidence in you and your experience. And so I think here this whole idea of doing this together is really in an acknowledgement of the great job you guys did here in last October. So that and you've been doing it for a while, but you started all this, and so in a way you're the godfather of this whole initiative here. So I think this is really great.
Sure, Bill. And I mean, I'll also have a word with Pranjal and Yash,
Mhm.
who were with me. So basically, the whole debate, it was me, Pranjal, and Yash who handle it from the start till the end. So
Great.
I'll also ask them to join the team so that we have more people with more experience and to get started on it. So yeah, I think we are good in that sense that we start reviewing the documents, getting the database. 10th is our deadline for the document, 15th is the deadline for the database.
Great.
So I think we have tasks in our hand and we can get started with it.
Right. And also for all the rest of you, all of you need to take on and step up a little bit to getting the rest of the committee, keeping them informed, getting them to be active here. This really, that's part of what you can do, because the more hands we can get, especially when it gets out, reaching out to different parts of the world and following up, the more of you that are engaged in that, the more that workload can be shared, and the greater the chances of success. So I think here, this I'm feeling very good about here. I have one other request, and that is, we're starting a newsletter. And this Shrikrita from India, she's been pushing for a long time on this. And I know, Jerica, you've been pushing on communication here. One of the things we need is, for each of our committees, we need a reporter. That reporter who can write a paragraph, 2 paragraphs on each issue of the newsletter, to just keep the rest of the club informed. Where are we? Because we're working in these various committees, the problem is the bulk of the club can sit there and say, oh, gee, there's nothing happening in this club, because they don't see what's going on in the committees, and we've got to do a better job of communicating what's going on. That is going to be what will get the interest of more members to want to join you guys here in this particular project, but in all of our projects, as they hear about what's going. So do I have a volunteer who would volunteer, at least as the start off here, to be the reporter that will report on just what happened last week and what's going to happen in next week? The newsletter will come out every 2 weeks, the alternating week to our major club meetings. That's the plan anyway. So do we have a volunteer here to be the reporter to just summarize what's going on to the newsletter?
If no one else wants, I don't mind doing that.
Okay, Leah, thank you on that. I appreciate that. So we have now, I think we've got a sort of a plan and a timetable of what we need to focus on in this next week. This time here of 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings, is everybody, I think, here, do we want to just keep that at regular weekly meeting, 7 o'clock in the mornings on Saturdays? Is that okay for everyone?
Fine with me.
Yes, Bill, it's okay for me.
Okay.
So far, it works.
Okay, great. So I think here we've accomplished quite a bit today. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I think we've accomplished a bit. Leah, if you can work on that first little summary here for the newsletter, we'll try to get newsletter team going here tomorrow and Monday to get that out. Anything else that we need to talk about here for today?
Pretty arbitrary thing, but is this recorded so we can get it to the rest of the group that couldn't
Yes, it
make
is, and I will be posting this right. Well, last week it took me because they say because of COVID or whatnot, when you record at certain in the cloud or whatnot, they say it's now 24 to 48 hours before they release the video back to whoever did the recording. I hope this time it will be. It wasn't quite that bad last time, but I think it was almost like 12 hours. Let's see what how it looks this time.
Gotcha.
So, but I'm going to try to, as soon as I can get my hands on it, I will post it just like we did last week.
I was thinking, Bill, I mean, just like we ended our last call on a timeline, let's end this call on a video that sort of we created. Or maybe if you can switch to YouTube, and maybe if you can share your screen, maybe everyone can get an idea of what we can also certainly create later in future for our promotional purpose.
Actually, Shivam, one of the things that would help on that is the your promotional video there. Naman had sent that to me, and I've been able to access that, but the format of that is such that I cannot do anything with it. It's, I don't know what that format is, but it's some weird format. If it's possible, let me try.
I mean, for the very first video that I'm talking about, that's on YouTube. So maybe we can just directly view it there.
Okay, if you can publish the link to that in the Telegram group, publish the link to the YouTube that you're talking about there.
Okay, sure.
Also, just making sure. So we can agree that this is the kickoff project for everything else. This is the paramount project that we're going to start.
For the club here, actually, here, Leah, that's a very good point for people to realize, because we've got 3 committees that are currently activated already. That is this committee. We've got the committee for the Close the Gap, but that's primarily going to be, or the initial round will be in the US on that. I do plan to organize a kickoff meeting for the discussion for developing countries, because developing countries, the same solution that will work in developed countries where it is primarily the motivation and the impact of poverty. It's not the lack of having access to the schools or access to the equipment. I think I pointed out in that committee for that particular project that our poorest school districts are spending between 2 and 3 times as much per student on the failing schools as the successful schools are. The most successful schools are spending here around $7,000 roughly a year per student, and our worst schools are spending around $17,000 a year per student, which means it's not a question of do they have the teachers, it's not a question of do they have the facilities and the equipment and so forth. So that's the situation you have in developed countries. And I can see, if I look to a lot of European countries, same situation. The schools, the materials are there. But if you come out of an impoverished community where the majority of students are impoverished, that dynamic, that peer motivation, and that dynamic results in the failure of those schools. And it's been going on for decades. But if I go down now into a lot of schools in sub-Saharan Africa, in rural India, they lack the schools. Some of them don't even have a bench for the kids to sit on. And I have seen, I taught part-time for a year in Vietnam, and the students I taught, literally our schoolroom was under a tree. it was just sitting under a tree, and 10 kids shared one book. So there's a different situation, a different need for a solution for areas that have the motivation but don't have the access, versus those environments that have all the access and everything else, but they're still failing. So that's a little bit, but the important piece here is that project for the US would not kick off as far as actually doing it until the next school year. That's next September. And it would only involve a pilot or a proof of concept group of schools, 10 or so schools, unless we go the city versus city and we get the mayors of, let's say, New York and Los Angeles or Chicago, all with a big publicity campaign, and they get everybody feeling it's their honor that their city has to do well. That would be a bigger one, but it's still not a worldwide initiative. And so even in the US, because it's that pilot type, obviously the debate is going to kick off, and this is going to be worldwide right away. This is going, if we succeed in this, whether they helped us do it initially or not, we are going to have the attention of all of Rotary International, and we are going to have access, easier access to communicating with Rotary International and partnering with them on all the different things we're looking to do. So that's why this debate is really the first thing coming up that is going to be huge. As far as the readathon, the closing of the literacy gap and raising literally hundreds of millions of dollars for the to reduce the number of the world's poorest children not in school, we really can't do that until COVID opens the schools again. And it's not just opening the schools because we got vaccinated in the Northern Hemisphere. We need those schools that are in developing countries to be opened. And when are they going to manage to get all the vaccinations to the degree that those schools are open? Because one of the things that is very important for people to realize, that if you don't have the teachers pushing this in the elementary schools, we'll be lucky to get 0.5% of the world student body participating. It really requires that the teachers be the ones that engage their student bodies. So that will be what will why we really need to make this debate project the showcase for what will be happening quickly. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so anything else anybody wants to bring up on this? Sivam, as you see here, he posted, he had to leave to join an office meeting. So let's, I think here, I don't know if there's anything else you want to bring up. Anybody's going to see it because I'll post the recording, but does anybody want to bring something up at this point more, or have we covered everything we need to for this round? Okay, I'm assuming that all means we've covered what we needed to cover today. I really feel good about today's meeting, and I really feel Sivam is he and the team he's mentioned bringing on the others of the team, because they had an incredible, the team worked really well together. And under their guidance here, I really feel this is going to be a big project. And what's really important, Leah, is that we work on how do we get all the rest of the bigger club, the whole Dare to Be Great club, how do we really get them to understand how big a deal this is, and where we stand on this, okay? Okay, and especially getting Jennifer Jones, because everybody's making such a big deal. She's going to be the first woman president of Rotary ever. And, you know, she was the vice president of Rotary 2 years ago. So the fact that she had volunteered to support last year's project, the odds that we will get her on board for this year, she is going to be, as far as in June, she will be the Rotary president-elect. That is a very powerful person. And having her support for this project, and if she likes what we're doing and has confidence in what we're doing, the odds are good that we are going to get her support for our readathon project and for our Close the Gap project. So, and the fact that she runs basically a TV or video promotion type of business brings that right into play with us, because one of the first things we want to do is try to recruit her to join and become an honorary member or an associate member of the club, and help us with that communications committee, because that's what she does. Okay, so great. Thank you so much, everybody, for today. Great meeting. Write about it in the committee. Go to the E-Club group. Write about what's going on here, all of you, and express how exciting this is, and let's get more people involved here. So with that here, I am going to call this this meeting over. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.